According to Cunningham's schedule, there was a perfectly feasible route to romance and to high adventure. It began wherever you happened to be and led to Boston. There you took a train to Hatton Junction and changed to an accommodation train of one passenger coach and one baggage car. That led you to Bendale, New Hampshire, and there you hired a team. Both romance and adventure were to be found somewhere around Coulter's, which was 8 miles from Bendale. Cunningham was sure nobody else knew the secret because he had found it in a highly unlikely place, and almost anybody else who happened to look there would find only dry statistics and descriptions. However, as he boarded the accommodation train, he inspected his fellow passengers carefully. One upon a quest like Cunningham's likes to feel that his secret is his alone. At first glance, the passenger coach was reassuring. There were a dozen or more passengers, but with 2 exceptions they were plainly people of the countryside. New England farmers. 2 women who had been shopping at the junction and were comparing their bargains. A swarthy French-Canadian mill hand with his dark-eyed sweetheart. Odds and ends of humanity, the characters one finds in any New England village. But even the 2 men Cunningham recognized as outsiders like himself were wholly unlikely to be upon the same quest. One had the solid, pleasant expression of a safe and sane man of business on his vacation, perhaps in search of a good fishing stream. The other was a foreigner, immaculately dressed and with waxed mustaches, who was reading something that Cunningham could not see and exhibiting all the signs of mounting rage. Cunningham might have become curious about the foreigner at another time. He might have tried to guess at his race and wonder what reading matter could fill any man with such evident fury. But being upon the last stages of the route to romance, Cunningham thought of nothing else. As to whether the girl would be as attractive as her picture, he had no idea. Whether or not she had been married since it was taken, he could not tell. What reception he would receive at the end of his journey was highly problematical. He might be regarded as insane. He might, and he hugged the knowledge to him tightly, he might run a very excellent chance of being killed. This was folly, of course, but Cunningham had an ample excuse. For 10 years he had toiled at a desk. He had worn a green celluloid eyeshade and added up figures in a tall ledger, or made notes in a daybook, or duly pounded out, yours of the 15th instant received, and in reply would state, at the dictation of his employer. For 8 hours out of the 24, for 11.5 months out of the 12, he made memos or orders and payments and violations imposed and repairs made, and all connected with the business of a firm which installed and repaired elevators. And now he was free. An uncle, dimly remembered, had died without any heirs but Cunningham. Cunningham had inherited $50,000 and within 10 minutes after receiving the news had resigned his job and punched his employer's rather bulbous nose. Now he was in quest of adventure and romance. He considered that he had earned them both. 10 years of law-abiding citizenship in New York entitled him to all of adventure he could gather, and 10 years in a boarding house earned him at least one authentic romance. Cunningham had in his pocket the picture of a girl who lived 1.5 miles from Coulter's, New Hampshire. The picture had been taken 4 months before and her name was Maria. She was a pretty girl and had smiled at the camera without self-consciousness. That was all that Cunningham knew about her, but he had built up dreams to supply the rest. And he was quite insanely confident that where she was, there would be romance. But romance alone would not do. There must be adventure as well. And adventure was duly promised. The picture was in the geographic magazine which travel and adventure-hungry folk devour. It was one of the illustrations of an article prosaically entitled Ethnological Studies in New Hampshire, which very soberly outlined the radical traits of New Englanders and the immigrants who are supplanting them. And Maria was a stranger, one of a group of people who were a mystery and an enigma to all those around them.